Congratulations on the movie. I think it's a side of Van Helsing that I did not expect to really get to experience. What stood out to you most about Joe Hill's story?
Yeah, I mean, exactly that. Just seeing this character that we've come to know so specifically, right? This idea of a monster hunter, and then grounding him and seeing him through this totally unexpected lens, and specifically the lens of a son who's grown up with him, who's starting to sort of see his father in a new light. That felt so sort of simple and elegant and universal. It just felt like a great entry point into the world of Dracula, and like this very character-driven, grounded way into this like super fun sandbox that we all love. That is the Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Now it's a very well-known story. Of course, these are very well-known characters. Where did you decide to um, kind of mesh the two? Where it's definitely just a character study. I mean, they're out trying to stay away from everyone. To kind of like, yes, this you already know what he's been through, but how did you guys work out on basically Titus is like just stoic. I've been through everything.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think Joe's short story really puts almost more of an emphasis on his role as a father and as a physician than as a monster hunter. Um, Obviously, that's very much a thread, but I was really interested in that entry point that we're seeing him as this working man who's trying to raise these two sons. And Titus similarly was excited by that. He knew he didn't want to do this like flamboyant Anthony Hopkins version of Van Helsing. We really wanted to treat him as like this real guy who's trying to do this real stuff. And Titus was really interested in sort of this context of him being Dutch and this sort of the sobriety of that culture and sort of the stillness of that culture, and how to integrate that into this character that has a lot going on internally. You know, he has a lot of this sort of sinister, a lot of anger and resentment and fear, all these very, very intense emotions that are sort of being kept down by this surface of sobriety and professionalism and father figure authority. So obviously playing that conflict is just great, right? Like that's exactly where we want to be for a character in a film. And then obviously calibrating that as the film continues and he becomes more and more, less and less in control and more unhinged. So we were both very drawn to that, which again I think goes right back to Joe's short story, which establishes him in that context.
Yeah, it really is driven by his trauma, by the trauma he's passed on to his wife, and now he's passing on to his kid. Tell me some of the maybe some of the decisions you guys made as a director with your cinematographer to really make sure you captured, those emotional moments with the actors.
Yeah, I mean, well, the most, obviously the most obvious choice we made was to shoot in the, 4:3 aspect ratio, which is not something you see a lot anymore, but to us felt very intimate and more about the character than their environment necessarily. It also sort of places us inside of the house, right? Like we're seeing more of the vertical of the house rather than like it being about the environment or the sort of epic nature of it. It's much more intimate. And I think that that felt right to us. And just sort of sitting with our characters and seeing them figuring each other out, right? So really the film is Max's story. Max undergoes this incredible transformation of having to face who his father is or figure out who his father is and then what he's going to do about it. You know? And so we really just we wanted to be in his perspective as much as we could. So, when we do get little glimpses of a vampire, perhaps, or the supernatural, or we move outside of this very grounded reality, it's always through Max's perspective. And so we always wanted to sort of be seeing literally through his lens, you know. Um, and as long as we sort of kept that as our rule, as like the overarching rule of the movie, we felt like, okay, we can tell this story that is very grounded and character driven and is essentially a family drama, with these supernatural horror gothic elements sort of seamlessly woven in visually.
And Natasha, it's very, very beautifully done. I thought that, when you look at it on the cover, you're kind of maybe expecting something different, but when you see how intimate the film is, I really you feel a lot more empathy for the characters, and you really want to see where the journey ends. And so thank you so much for Abraham's Boys, and thank you for spending a few minutes with me. It means a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Have a
Yeah,
great
it's
day.
nice to meet you. Thank you too.